Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Renegade Society Radio. We are live on air. I am joined by Sara and Scott today.
Hello.
Oh, and we have a shocking amount of stuff to actually talk about. There's a lot going on. You guys came from trips. You guys are going on trips. There's lots of things that we've got on the go. So did you want to say hello to everyone and give out your titles? I'm Teri, marketing manager here.
Hey, Teri.
It's like
Teri, that was really good. So normally Sara does the intro and she messes it up every week. So
whatever. Only the first 10 episodes.
No.
Oh dear. Yes, that was an excellent intro. I appreciated that. Nice.
And yes, Sara, you director of marketing and sales. And Scott, president, publisher. Do you have any other titles? Can we add extra titles? No. Titles come with responsibility. Your plate's too full already.
Oh no.
So yes,
for sure. We
have a lot of stuff on the go. It looks like it's going to be a busy summer for us. I'm so excited to be talking a little bit about some of the things that are coming up. But first of all, we have news about Architects of the West Kingdom. I have it right here, actually. I'm prepared today.
Nice.
We got to put a special gold star on it now. It came as runner-up for Game of the Year for the Board Game Geek Golden Geek Awards, which is huge.
That's right.
That was very exciting.
It was so exciting. And thank you all of you. I know there was a lot of our community who voted and supported this game, and I'm so excited. It's such a great game. Everyone who plays it talks about it so highly. People are actually asking about if we're gonna have tables for it in future conventions because they want to try it because they heard about it through the Golden Geek. So that's really cool. And yeah, we've got more stuff coming up out of that world too. So
some other good news about that is that it's actually been kind of hard to find recently because we sold out so quickly when it came out originally. But just yesterday?
Yeah, today.
Yeah,
they arrived
today. Yeah, we actually got our second shipment and it just got reprinted. So if you're having a hard time finding it, give our distributors and retail stores a couple weeks to get that back on their shelves, but it is coming. So that's pretty exciting.
It is, but we're sold out again.
Well, that's true.
So we sold out and the third printing is already on the way. So the third printing is coming right behind this one. So yeah, so we got it in and now it's out. So, but stores should have it until they run out of it. So there you go.
Yeah, it's really popular. So if you can get your hands on it, totally, get your mitts on it. Enjoy it, love it. I hope you do, because it's pretty fantastic. And we were at PAX East not too long ago. 2 weeks ago? Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. Wow.
Not me though. I didn't go to PAX East.
Yeah, I got to go to PAX East. It was fun. We'd never been there before, and it is definitely a video game show, which was awesome because we got to meet all sorts of new fans. We played Arboretum and Clank and Architects of the West Kingdom and Fuse, which is one that I really love from our catalog that's not brand new, but it was brand new to this crowd. So that was really fun to get to show that to everybody. And we also did some cool events with Direwolf Digital, who was there at the show as well. We did a Clank Upper Management Pack event. And so basically, Clank Legacy is coming out later this year. And to get excited for that, they made this special pack of miniatures that can work with base Clank or will work with Clank Legacy when it comes out. And they're all the characters from Acquisitions Incorporated, which is really cool to have at the PAX show because Acquisitions Incorporated is the name of the business that is run by the people in that own PAX who play as D&D characters every time there's a PAX show live on stage. So Acquisitions Incorporated is their business name, which is super fun. And so you get to play as those characters, just like they do on stage. And the miniatures are amazing. So we did a special event where everybody played with those miniatures. And one of the funniest things that happened during that is there's a character that basically is sort of like a wizard, and he's always getting out of these sneaky situations. And one of the players during the event accidentally teleported herself into a locked room in Clank, and she called over the judges and said, "What do I do? I'm locked in this room. How do I get out? I don't have any keys." And of course, mysteriously, the next turn, she redrew her teleport and got out in this sneaky sort of wizardy way, just like the character would have. So that was super fun. We had a great time, gave away lots of prizes. And the first place prize was really cool. It's actually the person who won that gets to be a named character in Clank Legacy as an NPC. So that was pretty exciting. And we're working on that now. So it was fun. We got to do that with Direwolf Digital. So go and check that out on their site. And that is going to come out pretty soon.
Yeah, I think we're going to have it in May, right? Comes out in May.
Yeah, we haven't announced an official exact release date, but it is coming soon. We will get all that information out there in not too long.
Awesome. Right. I mean, there's a lot of, I think that there's a lot of anticipation. There's a lot of potential for new people to discover this and get gaming in like local gaming stores too, which is really great because, you know, we grow the community and people can be excited and play Clank, and it means you can play some other new folks too, which is fun. And also, I mean, everyone kind of knows I really have a soft spot for minis, so like, I'm really excited to get my hands on those.
I hear you like to paint occasionally until like 3 in the morning.
I live in a really I used to live in a city of 1 million, then I downsized to a city of like a quarter that size. And then because I have a daughter who's 10, and so she goes to bed early, and like all my evenings are spent like either painting or watching hockey, or painting while watching hockey. And it's playoffs now, so it's like painting and watching hockey is like my plans for the next while.
Nice.
So is your paint station in view of the TV so you can paint and watch hockey at the same time?
So during playoffs especially, but like so when we're painting, usually I'll just turn on the feed so I can hear the commentary and then just paint. And then if something good happens, like I'll go to my my stream and then watch it over again if there's a cool play.
Okay.
But then during playoffs, I bring my whole paint station upstairs to the big TV, and I just sit it out on my table and I paint there.
Okay. It seems like a missed opportunity. I mean, if you can take both of the things that you love doing so much and do them simultaneously at the same time, why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, sports make for great miniature painting as a whole, just because you can hear when something is about to happen or something is just happened, and they put the replay on, you can watch it from a better angle. So that's what I do. Hockey, curling, I am totally sounding like a super stereotypical Canadian right now. So it's like all of these things, they're great for miniature painting. So if you're looking for something, now it's a good time.
So what you're saying is, if you want to improve your painting skills, you need to watch hockey.
I don't know if it's correlative, but if you want to get a lot of painting time in, if you dedicate playoff hockey for painting time, it's a good way to like hold yourself accountable to it.
Okay. I mean, I don't think there's any evidence that it's not related.
That's true. Like that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So
there you go. You heard it here first. Start watching hockey and improve your painting skills.
Miniature painter Teri says so.
Our friends in chat are asking, will Canada end the 26-year streak of no cup?
Flames are taking it this year, guys. The Flames are taking it.
It's gonna happen.
One in the West.
Nice.
Is that your team?
That's my team. I was born and raised in Calgary, so I cheer for the Flames, and I have my jersey. If we ever do one of these like Radio Society shows and it's a playoff night, I'll be wearing my jersey and you can see it. It's bad right now, though. Our friends at Direwolf are out in Colorado, and that's who the Flames are playing for this series. So I'm just like,
I know. That's my team is the Avalanche.
The Avalanche? You mean the Quebec Nordiques?
Well, I mean, they kind of used to be, and then they moved to Denver, and the first year they were in Denver, we won the Stanley Cup. Once they got that Quebec bad luck off of them.
Oh, I hope the French don't find this video now. Like you just, there's a big province that you just made really angry there, Scott.
I know. The year that the Avs, right, with that they moved, the Nordiques moved to Denver, and it was that right after that Christmas, right? Patrick Waugh had the big blow up, and he got traded. And a friend of mine from out east sent me a message, an email that right after the Waugh trade went through that said, "Congratulations on winning the Stanley Cup," because that's really all the team needed. And once they got him. Yep, they were good. Sarah's totally like, what in the world are they talking about?
No, I was just thinking about my poor customer who came into the store this week. He plays Destiny at our store all the time, and he broke his jaw playing semi-pro hockey this last week. And totally wired shut and everything. Oh, so painful. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
So now he has to, right. So now he should take up painting miniatures.
Exactly.
He's been totally confused with the power of hockey, and now he can funnel that through miniature painting.
That's really the moral of the story. Yep.
Highly recommended. It's a great for hobby.
It's a blessing.
About that, but okay, we'll go with it. Always a silver lining.
I mean, like, now if the Flames don't win, I will wish to have the technology in one of the games coming up, which is Time Chase. Because you get to travel back in time, and I will probably want to do that and warn myself not to get my hopes up. So that's a real thing. Except in Time Chase, you get to change your tricks. It's a trick-taking game, right? Sarah, tell us about it.
Oh, I'm so excited about this game. It's actually in my pile of upcoming games right here.
That's a really tall tower.
I know, I'm kind of scared of it. There's a lot of stuff happening up there. So right on the very, very top actually is Time Chase. And in this game, it's a trick-taking game. But instead of just taking a trick and then wiping it off the board, you leave each one of the tricks on the board and they create a timeline. And you can spend resources to go back in the timeline and affect previous tricks that have been played. So you can change the trump, you can do other things that will affect them. And the goal is just to be owning 3 of those tricks in the timeline at any given point. So then you win the game. And it's just a really awesome game because it feels very familiar. If you've ever played a trick-taking game, you already know how it works, basically. But it's such a good twist on it. It reminds me so much of Fox in the Forest, which again is a classic trick-taking game with this twist of being 2-player only with these special effects on the cards. And I think Time Chase is doing the same type of thing in another really totally different way. And the artwork's really cool on it too. So I can't wait for that to come out. We're gonna have that at Gen Con.
I love the theme. Like, I love that science fiction-y kind of element to it. Cause like I don't feel like there are a lot of like games like that have that theme, and I'm like a sucker for sci-fi, so like I love that art. I love the art.
Yeah, it's gonna be really neat, and the cover of it totally reminds me of so many different sci-fi things. But then also Ant-Man and Wasp, like that scene where they've got the huge machine, and yeah, it just feels like that. It's super neat. So I am pumped about that one. But yeah, we have a lot of things happening.
Holy smokes. What else? Let's read it. Like, let's go down from the top of the tower. Can we do that? Can we go from top to bottom?
Sure. So Hex Roller, which is coming out. We officially haven't announced the date yet, but we're doing that soon. So we can tell it here. You guys get a first reveal. April 24th is when that comes out. So just a few weeks from now, we're shipping it out to all of our friendly local hobby stores now. So make sure you go and pre-order it. And then we also have Lanterns Dice. This is also super fun because it is lanterns and it really feels like lanterns, but it's a roll and write game. It's just infused with lanterniness. And we got to play this one at PAX East as well. And we put it out on the first look table, and there's a whole huge pile of score pads that had been filled out, or the roll and write scores, so we could look through and see what the high scores were. I'm going to post that later, and we can see if anybody can beat those high scores from PAX East. So that'll be fun.
Awesome.
Artsy is another one that's coming out a little bit later in this year. It's by J. Alex Cavern. He's made some of my favorite games like World's Fair, which is incredible. And this one's a cool, smaller card game that's about being in charge of an art gallery. And you're looking at different types of beautiful art. And a fun thing about this one is all the art pictures are parodies of classic art that you'll recognize. So Teri is going to go crazy and start posting those in a little bit, one at a time, so we can have fun with those. Then Clink Upper Management Pack, we already talked about that one. Proving Grounds, this is by the same designer that did Fuse, but this is a solo-only game. And it's real-time, you're rolling dice, there's a really fantastic app that lets you keep track of your score and helps with setup and is a timer. There's just so much good stuff about this. Also, the story is actually a full 32-page novella. So you can read through the whole story, really get into what's happening, just immerse yourself, and then play through the game with all the different modules to make it easier or harder depending on what your skill level is.
That feels like the perfect like airplane kind of game. Like you stick it in your bag, you go on your airplane, you go on your trip, you can play, and then you can play, and like it doesn't get old. Like if you've seen all the movies on the plane or whatever, like it seems like the perfect thing, and it's nice and compact too. So
yeah,
you can put your headphones in for the app.
Oh, that's right.
True.
Because you might freak out the other passengers while this like timer app is going off that creates all this tension and stuff. That might not be the best thing to do on a plane.
Well, at least it's easy to take with you.
Right.
Oh, funny. So that's called Proving Grounds. I'd forgotten to mention that one. So Proving Grounds. And that one is also coming out this summer. We will have that at Origins. I believe that we'll have early copies of that UK Games Expo before it's out. So that should be cool. The next one is Revolution of 1828. This, for all of our historical fans out there, is a 2-player only game by Stefan Feld that talks about the epic battle between John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson, which was one of the most intense political campaigns and really where a lot of that political mudslinging started. So it's very relevant for today. It's very exciting that way. But it's a tug of war battle as far as the mechanics go, which is really interesting and not something Stefan Feld has done before. If you've played Castles of Burgundy or Bora Bora, he has a humongous list of games that he's made. They're all really interesting, different mechanics. And this one is even beyond what he would normally do. So that should be fun. Bargain Quest. I only have the base game up there. We also have all the expansions. This is about owning your own adventure store. You actually get to sell things to adventurers. They go out and fight monsters. Hopefully you've given them enough stuff that they can live, but if they don't, you already have their money, so it's okay. It's a lot like owning a game store. It should be fun. Sometimes your customers come back and sometimes they don't. But you prepared them for the battle. That's the important part. Architects of the West Kingdom, well, I put that up there because it's coming back. It's almost like it's a brand new game because it was so hard to find for a little bit. Aquacorn Cove, we showed this off at Gamma, and I am super excited because T-Dragon Society is one of the cutest games we have in our catalog, and Aquacorn Cove is by the same group that did that. So the author and artist is Katie O'Neill. She did a whole series of graphic novels about various different things, and one of them was Aquacorn Cove. It is adorable. It's about taking care of marine life, especially unicorn seahorses, which I don't know how this isn't a thing before now. But we need more unicorns. And obviously, if you could buy them with seahorses, that's even better. So it's a cooperative game taking care of unicorn seahorses. Game of Thrones Oathbreaker. This is a social deduction game. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, there was a live playthrough of this last week on the Dice Tower. And it is a 5 to 8 player game. So I believe there were 6 of them playing, and they had lots of fun trying to figure out who is the king, trying to decide if they were loyalists or conspirators, and just battling back and forth. It's a great, great video to watch. So go check that out, and it'll really give you a good feel for the game. And that is on pre-order right now too. And then, of course, Terra Below, which was our recent Kickstarter. We still have those late pledges open right now, but they will be closing on April 30th. So if you're interested in wandering around the desert, collecting eggs from government experiments, then that is the game for you, especially with the adorable vehicles. We haven't shown those off yet, have we, Scott?
No, I have them. I brought them back from my trip, the final ones.
Ooh. They're amazing. I must say
I can see them. They're actually right here sitting on my laptop. They look great. Take my word for it. They look wonderful.
Why don't you use like you can describe them, but in the form of an interpretive dance, so that we can look. But
so, yeah,
that's not what I expected.
I would normally do that. I'm into interpretive dance, but I'm kind of tethered here, so I can't fully express myself.
That's fair.
Teri, if you don't believe him, you can go watch the dance on the Power Rangers channel that Scott did.
That's true. Yeah, that was more of a supportive dance.
It's true.
Jonathan and I took one for the team. No, I can show you. I brought back samples. So these are the final ones with all the paint on all the sides and everything. So some of the vehicles, like here's like the SUV, paint on the tops and the sides and everything. Like really cool.
So explain how they actually do this, because I've never seen a meeple that had paint on more than two sides.
So we almost broke China creating these. So they came back and we said we wanted meeples on multiple paint on all sides, and they said maybe, and so like really the whole thing, right? Like looks really cool. This one doesn't have anything on top because it doesn't. So it's they stamp them. So the process is that they go through on the machine, and it's called pad printing, and it's a really soft, almost like little bubbly looking thing that just comes down and touches it and prints the side, but it has to go through that machine for every single side. Every single side goes through a different pad print. Wow. So it's a little tedious. So there's like the Hummer looking guy painted on all sides.
Those look amazing.
Those look so cool.
Here's the sports car.
Oh my God, that's my favorite. Yes, I'm definitely going to cruise around the desert in a sports car. That looks awesome.
Yeah. Even has like a little paint spot like for the doorknob, and you can see in the paint in the windshield, you can see like where the rear view mirrors would be. It just
does not look like a meeple, because it's basically like, imagine making a cookie. You have a cookie cutter and it cuts out this piece of wood, and then that's why you usually only see the two sides, and then the outer part, like a cookie, is just sort of this amorphous part of the meeple. But in these, we actually utilize that to make it a 3D figure, which is just super cool.
Yeah, these had to be done at more than one factory. So the factory that does the wood and cuts them, then it has to go to a factory that specializes in paint. So I even have the tank.
Oh,
so we made the tank. So
oh my gosh, this is extra special because this took a lot of handiwork on the part of the factory to make that happen.
Yeah, it's painted on all sides.
Oh, that looks so good. So they actually stamp that out and then go and add the tank barrel, right?
Yeah, so this meeple is 3 pieces. So it's the lower piece, the turret piece, and then the barrel. It's 3. Wow. It has to be assembled.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
I've never seen anything like that as a meeple. That's so cool. And serious props to Leisha, who does all of our production management and works with our factories. She's amazing. What?
She did nothing.
Whatever. Terrible. Poor Leisha. We love you, Leisha.
So is that stack your packing list, Sarah? Is that your packing pile that's going with you?
It's not everything. but yes, all of those things are going with me to the gathering, but there are extra things that are also going in my suitcase.
There's one more that we didn't
bring these super duper meeples too. We can play them with Terra Below.
I like it.
because one thing that isn't on that shelf that we did announce was Bubble Tea, which is the game. My daughter, I was working and she saw the picture and she's like, "What is that?" So immediately she gravitated toward it. Bubble Tea. I showed her the instructions. She intuitively understood what was happening. So I think the box, our pre-order price on the site's $20 on it, which is crazy.
Yep.
Because it's a shaker with wooden dice and transparent ingredient cards. And I was just like, how did they do that?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So I don't get to see the copy of it. That's our proof copy until we get to our hotel for the gathering. But as soon as I get there, I will definitely send you pictures because I'm excited about it too. It looks cute.
It's so cute.
So did you notice today, Teri, that once we posted the announcement for Bubble Tea, that people in the industry were chiming in saying that their cats are in the game?
Oh, I've seen some of those. I've seen a few people say, "That's my pet," and I'm like, "Oh."
Because when Ozza was refreshing the game, so we've had the rights to this game for a few years, and when he was refreshing the game and kind of updating some of the art and everything for our edition, he put something out on Twitter that said, "Send me the pictures of your cats and I'll use them in the game." And then he went back. So like one of my cats is in the game. I think one of Sarah's cat might be in the game now.
Oh, that's so exciting. I haven't seen that picture yet. I have to go look.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We need to do side-by-sides where you pull the card out and you like take a picture and you have your cat selfie. I would love to see those because I mean, come on. I was just like, I was all about the Corky on the components thing where he's like shaking it up. I'm like, oh, that's the Queen's dog because she used to breed Corgis. Right. Like I'm a good British like a good creature of the British Empire. I know what's what.
All this weird Canadianisms.
Oh man, you get me started. It's maple season, you guys.
What are you talking about? The Queen. Aren't they touring with Adam Lambert right now?
This is the time of year where I think I'm at my most peak Canadian. That's why it's like coming through my pores. It's all the maple syrup that I've been drinking and all the.
Wait, what?
It's maple syrup. So it's spring is maple syrup season.
But you don't drink it.
Yeah. What do you mean you don't? There's nothing that says you can't. So I go by rules as written. I'm one of those.
Fair enough. Note to self: bring Teri syrup so she can drink it.
The strategic syrup reserve. But yeah.
Wait, I have a question. So when you drink the syrup, do you drink it warm or is it chilled?
Oh,
if it's chilled, it would be really thick, right?
So yeah, you drink it warm, but then like there's a syrup, like a maple syrup candy. So when they cook the syrup to make the syrup, they pour it on like cold snow, and then it turns into like candy after because at the bottom scrapings turn into like candy, and then you just take a stick and you wrap it. So you can eat it off a stick straight, more concentrated actually, or you have it warm. So like I got a friend who stayed with me a little while ago. Into maple syrup in his coffee because it's so good. But yeah, maple syrup. Good. Highly recommend.
Now I know why Teri has so much energy.
This explains a lot.
It's a thing. It's very much a thing. And I'm all about it right now, especially right. So Bubble Tea coming out. We're doing pre-orders on the site right now, so go check it out. It's like what's in that box, the components. I'm so stoked for it. Like I think that is such an incredible like little family game too. Just really, really, really accessible, really delightful.
And all the characters are from other Ozza-chan games, so you'll find characters from Kitty Paw, Shiba Inu House, Fireworks. They're all in there, which is fun.
Super adorable. But like one of the games that is behind you right now, Sarah, is actually the first Renegade game I ever played. I think it was the first Renegade game. It's Grabwell.
Nice.
I was at a roller derby tournament the first time. And like I think that there are so many games in our we talk a lot about the new, we're like the cult of the new, but like there's so many great games that we have in our catalog that are they still hold up. And Gravwell is one of those games I pull out for friends who aren't necessarily board gamers. It's still super accessible, science fiction theme. It's still like one of the top games that I love to play. It made a move with me across the country because I love that game so much. And that was before I worked for Renegade, so that tells you something.
It's true. Nice. Yeah, I really like Gravwell because I like the strong sciencey part of it with the goofiness and the really unique mechanics. It's just the whole package. I love that game.
It's thematic and it's like it's just really interesting. Yeah.
Very neat.
Corey Young.
What are the games that you guys are playing, like still from that back catalog that maybe people who have like found out about us through the recent Kickstarters might not have heard of, but like should totally check out and are highly recommended by you two?
Well,
probably in our house is Lanterns, like because my wife Robin likes Lanterns, so she'll play that. And then the other one is probably Fuse. So because Fuse is like Fuse, you can play with people, like if you have guests or people visit you that don't know how to play games, because it's really easy. Like you just start rolling dice and the timer goes, and you know it's only 10 minutes. So if they're not good at it, it's fine. You just play again, and by the second game, they've kind of figured it out.
I had a blast teaching Fuse at PAX East. We played it. I played it for seriously 8 straight hours a day and had fun with every single game of it. It was just so exciting to see that energy with people and the intensity. Like the whole world just melts away around you when you're rolling those dice and you only have 2 minutes left and you still got a whole bunch of bombs you have to defuse. It's so exhilarating. There aren't a lot of games that have that feeling of suspense that I really enjoy like that one does.
The audio on the app timer too just like turns it up just a little bit more. So
yeah, oh yeah, I have a pretty fancy speaker that I use for my TV, but it's compact. It's only about this big. So I brought it to PAX and put it on the table and hooked it up to my phone. And people, as they were walking by, just turned their heads like, what is happening over there? And as soon as that app started and the timer's counting down, the people playing just got visibly more into the game. So I completely agree. Don't even try and play that game without the app because the whole environment with the app is so much better.
Yeah, totally immersive. And like you don't often find games that you can play in 10 minutes that are that immersive and that engrossing. So it's
yeah, excellent. The other game that I spent half the time teaching was Fuse and the other half the time was Arboretum. And it's one of my favorite games to teach because it's actually a little bit difficult to teach it really well. But when you do and people get the game and it clicks right away, it's such a great experience. Yeah. So we had lots of fun with people who are not gamers at all in the board game world, but do love video games and like that competitive aspect, really getting into not only how beautiful it was, that's why they stopped, but then when they sat down and they saw how much depth there is to the game, they just fell in love with it. So I played that probably 30 times last week and it was great. It's one of those games that really makes you feel competitive in a surprising way because it's so gorgeous. You don't think that's going to happen.
I love how much you pay attention to what other people, like what turns other people are doing too. Like it's like with those like turn games where you're often like just building your tableau. There are sometimes games where I don't pay attention to what everyone else is doing, and like I've got blinders on my own. But you can't do that. You have to like every turn matters, so you pay attention to what everyone is doing.
It feels like bridge to me because I grew up playing a lot of trick-taking games with my family, with my grandma, and I really like games, like you said, where you have to be paying attention to what other people are doing to get the most out of it. And Arboretum, because you play through the whole deck and every single card matters, you do have to be paying attention to where they are. And even though it's not a trick-taking game, it has this really cool aspect of the spatial awareness of where you put your cards on the board, but having to pay attention both to what you put down and what is still in your hand because the scoring depends on both is really a great, elegant balance. So it's just amazing. It's one of my favorite games.
when I pulled it out too, my daughter was like, trees come in all of these colors. And like that was the one thing she picked up on, and how pretty everything was. And she started immediately collecting the trees that were her favorite color first. Like we could all know. We're just it's not bother.
If you play with only 2 players, instead of playing with all 10 different types of trees, you only play with 6 different types of trees. So I always put out all 10 types of trees and let people pick which ones were their favorite. And it was fun to see which different color combinations people went after. And it was always different because all the trees in that game are beautiful.
When we played at home, the spruce and the poplar went away because like those are the trees we grew up with, and we're like, poplars give my allergies, like I have bad memories of that. And then spruce trees, they're all just like Christmas trees. So like at Christmas time, you can make your game thematic, but otherwise you can make all your trees pink and purple and yellow and red.
Nice. You're gonna have to color little lights on all of your blue spruces.
Well, that's why you get the sleeves cards, and you can just add the little like dry erase markers on them and just like make them all pretty.
I like it. That's a good idea. I want to see that. So now for our next episode, you have to make us a whole set of Arboretum in sleeves that you draw on.
I will paint the sleeve. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to make a craft. I'll do it on video. I will put it up on socials of how to make your trees like extra pretty. Like, here's how you paint a bird in your trees. And here's how you can do this. And it's just little decorated sleeves for them. I think that's totally doable.
So speaking of birds and Arboretum, we did actually just release the Arboretum kits, information about the kits. So these are coming out in a few months. And if you go to your local store and play in one of these events, you get a special promo card that is the cherry blossom, but with an extra few forest friends on the bottom of that. So that'll replace your 8 cherry blossom card. Oh, they're so very pretty. Cute. There's a deer and a skunk and a rabbit.
A skunk.
It's like a scene out of Bambi.
May not be a coincidence. Or I may have just looked out in my backyard because there was a deer and a skunk in my backyard last night. So
were they friends?
Were they like
no,
were they hanging out?
But I did see a deer. It was really icy here the other day, and I saw a deer. We were driving, and we scared it, and it did the Bambi thing on the ice, where its legs went all different directions, and it took it a minute to get back on its feet. It was cute, though.
All I'm hearing is you live in like a Disney cartoon, and then you wake up in the morning and you sing, and the birds come land on you, and that's how I'm imagining your mornings now, Sarah.
That's not it at all. The reality is Sarah's backyard has chickens and hawks trying to eat the chickens and dogs trying to eat the hawks.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, see?
I was really afraid that my dog was going to find the skunk the other night. That would be a disaster.
Sarah's house is more like Jurassic Park, and the fences are failing.
Ooh, okay. I that's a very vivid description.
Yeah, the FedEx guy almost got eaten today because we left the door open. It was not good. Luckily, we have multiple barriers in our house, so we had one barrier fail, but the next barrier held, so it was okay.
It's like a dam. You can have the different like layers and or pier, or port, or whatever.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Like, I mean, I think, you'll start seeing more stuff. If you're not already following us on social media, we've got a bunch of stuff that we've got in the works to bring back some of those older, delightful games. And like remind you why they're such great favorites, why we still, want you to try them, because they're classics, right? We're getting to a point now where these games are getting to a vintage. We'll say vintage, like Scott is getting to a vintage.
What?
It's complimentary.
Oh, hilarious.
Teri's calling me old. That's what you're saying.
Oh,
great! So happy you've joined us, Teri.
No bonus for you.
No, I have my moments where I'm just like, I realize just how old I am when I'm like, you know, when I was painting miniatures, we had to mix floor wax in to make washes with stuff. Like, I don't know if you kids really understand how good you have it. Get off my lawn. So I just don't show it. It's all the maple syrup keeps your skin nice. You just put it on your face. And it's good.
How many years have you been painting minis?
About 15.
That's awesome.
And I started late, so I only started in university. So yeah, I started late. My husband's been at it for like 25. Like someone once told me that, you know, guys who will like the things at 12 that they will like for the rest of their life, and miniature wargaming was like one of the things that he took with him since he was 12. So
that's cool. Yeah. I think it's never too late though, which is great.
No, it's never too late.
So wait, Sarah, what did you like when you were 12? And do you still like it today?
Oh, yeah, that's probably true. I really have always loved insects, and that's still a thing. And pets in general. I have lots of them. Terrorizing pets, as I mentioned in the chat. Yeah, that's probably about it. But I've always played board games. That's been true. Yeah. I've played games my entire life since I can remember. We played Balderdash as a family a lot when I was a kid. Also, this other little game called Fill or Bust that no one has ever heard of, but sort of an alternative to Yahtzee. It's a great push your luck dice game that I think is more exciting than Yahtzee because it's faster. There's more to think about. Mostly you lose lots of points every round, but that's exciting. So a lot more risk involved in playing Fill or Bust. But yeah, so I would say games and animals. That's still
games and
pretty much it.
Monstrous beasts.
Games and beasts, yeah. How about you, Scott? What were you doing when you were 12? You were reading comic books, huh?
Oh. Yeah, nothing abnormal. Like none of that stuff really stuck with me later in life. I'm not really into any of the same stuff I was into as a kid. Nope. Nothing at all.
I don't believe you even a little bit.
Like, let's just square up on Scott's frame again and just look and just like you came into all of that stuff as an adult. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, this isn't my house. I don't live here.
It's a banner that we've just hung in the background because it's nice and it's big.
No. Like I just when I know that we're gonna do one of these shows, I just randomly walk around and I sneak into a house that looks like nobody's home, and I set up. So you know, there you go. Yeah.
That's really creepy.
So John in the comments is saying he finally got his 5th edition player's handbook, which is amazing. I mean, it's never too late, of course, but it's also never too early. We do have a game coming out towards the end of the year that is compatible with 5th edition. So you can get your younger ones in too, but also like there are games where I now play. When my parents came to visit over the summer, we were playing games, and so I was showing them like some of the stuff, and they were enjoying it too. So like hobby is age agnostic. It doesn't care. You can always get into it. And Jeff is like pro wrestling. I was into pro wrestling too. I grew up with
not a surprise.
I'd turn off the lights before I'd walk in and go bong like the Undertaker. Then I turn them back on and be like. So.
Oh dear. I think that for Halloween, we should all dress up as the things that Teri likes. Each of us pick one. It'll be fantastic. We can have like a hockey player and a pro wrestler and all these
jar of maple syrup.
And a jar of maple syrup.
A careful coffee.
A maple syrup addict.
Little bottles of maple syrup and a huge like trench coat. We just flip them out and drink them.
Great.
Like a bandolier. I want a bandolier with maple syrup all in it, and like maple syrup holsters, and like one of those hats that people wear to like events, and like the beer hats, maple syrup hats, like with the straws and everything.
With the proper cans and everything. It's a real thing though. Like maple syrup's a real business. Like there's a black market for maple syrup.
What?
It's a real thing.
I do know about this.
Like we talk about like, you know, the weird stuff about our industry, but then like maple syrup, they have like a name for people who like sell on the black market. They're barrel rollers. It's a whole thing. It's real.
What? We have to make a game out of this.
Yes,
that's an awesome idea. We should do that.
You steal maple syrup and then you sell it on the black market.
There's a really good Freakonomics episode about that. Actually, it's one of my favorite podcasts.
Yeah, there's a Netflix doc too.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a sequel to Pie Town. So we had Pie Town where you make pies and sell pies. Now we can have maple syrup smuggling, and then we need like something else in the trilogy to wrap it up.
Well, they're all trees, so Arboretum's already in there. It's perfect.
It's a cap off, right? Pie Town is like the Empire Strikes Back of the series.
We can make a promo card for Arboretum that's a maple tree, but it's being tapped and syrup's coming out. And Teri's standing there and drinking it.
Oh man, that would be that's a whole thing. That's a whole other thing. I'll paint the little tap on the maple tree. That's going on the sleeve list. I'll write it all down. All the stuff I'm gonna paint on the sleeves.
Nice.
I just realized Teri doesn't have a little caricature of her like all the other Renegade people because she wasn't here when we did those.
Oh, that needs to happen.
The art description was just written in my head this episode. I know what Teri's caricature is going to be. I've got it down.
Oh, I can't wait.
Awesome.
Done.
Okay. So we've traveled the globe up north, but Scott, you mentioned you were in China for stuff.
Almost 2 weeks.
Like beyond looking at pads come down on wooden meatballs, is there anything else you can share with us?
So we spent a big chunk of the trip down in the south. So the south of China is where a lot of the plastics factories are. So all those miniatures that you see in all the miniatures games, there's a good chance that they're all made within about a 50-mile radius of each other. That's kind of like the hotbed for all the toy manufacturing in the world, and Hasbro and Mattel and all those guys. Like, it's kind of just where the plastic factories grew over the last 50, 60 years. So we spent a good amount of time there because of Power Rangers was one reason. And we were visiting our factory. They were all the final production of all the figures were coming through, and they were doing all the QC checks, and we did all the final checks of the trays and the way they're packed out, and they were going to be starting all the pack out of the trays and putting them all in the plastic trays and covering them and getting them all ready. It was pretty amazing. We have a bunch of photos that we're going to use in the next update. So if you're a Power Rangers backer, you'll get to see lots of photos. I teased one in our Power Rangers Facebook group. I think I zoomed in and I took a close-up of a whole bin full of I forget who it was that I showed everybody.
It was the wizard.
Oh yeah. That's who it was. Yeah, but I have lots of those pictures. I have pictures of like Megazords piled up like taller than me, like Megazord parts and stuff, and just thousands and thousands and thousands of miniatures, like just everywhere. Basically, the whole factory was only working on Power Rangers when we were there. So it was all the final stuff was coming out of the molds, and it was pretty much all done. And now they were it's really cool. Like, they literally go through every single figure and QC them and check them. And then any rejects get tossed in the bin. But all the good ones go on, and then they get packed out and everything. It's really pretty amazing. So we have lots of pictures. We'll share those in an update, I guess, in a week or two with our backers. I was also there looking at miniatures for Clank Legacy and all the Acquisitions Incorporated stuff. So we spent time with our sculptors over here do the work, but then they also have sculptors that are very, very experienced that then will take our sculpts and optimize them and make any little tweaks to optimize them for the mold before the molds are made. We went and visited a new mold factory that was really cool, where so the process to make a mold is pretty involved. It takes about a week just to make one mold, and it's like they've been making steel molds the same way for decades. But there's a new process now to actually digitally cut steel molds, like laser cut the molds. Ooh. So you're not actually casting a mold off of a physical sample. You are going right from computer to steel mold, and it's not cheap. It's about double the cost to make these molds, but the detail that you can get out of them is incredible. And these machines are very, very expensive, and they take a long time to cut them, but we saw samples of that, and it's a technology we're going to explore for future miniatures games. So I don't think anybody's made miniatures using this technology yet in our industry. What was being done right now for them?
Is that similar to how they do surgeries? Because I know that they're using laser cutting machines and then inputting digital information and then going in and cutting as parts of surgeries. I really think that's cool, because if we can use that same technology in the game industry where it's safe and if mistakes happen, it doesn't matter, and really optimize it, then there's other things we can do with that actually can really help people. But just like video games, similar thing.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if those technologies are related at all. But yeah, it was really cool. So we spent a lot of time there. We worked on those. We worked on another miniatures game that's not even been announced yet, so we can't tell you all about it. But yeah, it's a new miniatures game that we haven't told anybody about. We went over some samples and stuff like that. So I don't think we're announcing this one for a while. I think it's several months away.
Yes.
But I've got some of the dudes. They're sitting right here. Just can't show
them. They're so pretty.
They are. They're really cool. Worked on some new Power Rangers stuff because we're working on future releases even past the Kickstarter. So we spent a bunch of time working on that. Yeah, just lots of stuff. So it was 2 weeks of miniatures nirvana. Lots of miniatures everywhere. Came back with lots of samples. Also, you know, worked on stuff like this, like the super complicated meatballs and things like that. And then Leisha and I came back, and now it's following up. So this year we'll probably wind up with another trip to China in the fall, would be my guess, because we have some pretty complicated projects. And it just pays. When we go there, we can get so much more done than going back and forth. Remotely.
Well, even things like, it's maybe not very exciting, but I think logistically it's really positive that you did things like you packed out every different bundle for the Kickstarters, because that's a big problem that can happen is all of this stuff gets sent in a spreadsheet to some random company and they don't really know what these things are and they pack them out. And then when you get your Kickstarter, it's the wrong stuff. So you and Leisha is spending that time to go and actually make each one of those bundles so they have a copy of it they can see and check off of. I think that just makes it so much easier. And it means our shipping will be so fast.
Yep. Yeah, we created models for all the different packing variations, so that way they have a guide and all of that. So yeah, it was cool. It was fun. And I spent I got into Hong Kong a day before Alicia because my flight was really a lot cheaper if I came in a day sooner. So that was a horrible hardship. So I went and spent the day at Hong Kong Disneyland. It's only about 10 miles from the airport.
It's smaller. That's it. Hong Kong Disneyland is much smaller than like regular Disneyland.
It is. It's the smallest Magic Kingdom out of all of them in the world. It's pretty small, but it has some really cool stuff that's only there. It has like Phantom Manor, which is really neat. So there was a brand new Ant-Man and the Wasp ride that I was like 2 days early. It was opening 2 days after I was there. So I didn't get to do that.
Oh. Yeah. I guess you'll have to go again.
I'm going in the fall.
No, it's fine.
It'll just be a coincidence if you get a cheaper flight, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It always seems to work out that way.
We heard.
I got to do my favorite thing and ride the Jungle Cruise in multiple languages, so that's always fun. Yeah, so it was fine. But it's just a day to get out. It's, when you're traveling and there's the whole jet lag thing and time zone change, it's really important to just get on. And the worst thing is to like sit around and do nothing. So get out in the sun and just walk around and whatever. But it was really funny because what I would tell people locally, like our partners at the factory and stuff, and they'll be like, "You went to Disneyland?" They just don't get it. They're like, "Why would you want to go to Disneyland?" They're like, "You went alone?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" Just went, walked around, got a coffee, had lunch, rode some rides and stuff, and they're just like, shaking their head. Like, I just don't get it.
That's funny. Guess that's not something they're gonna do very often, but I'm sure it was busy, so somebody's doing it.
Yeah. When we were in Shanghai, so our itinerary was we came into Hong Kong, we spent time in the south, then we were up in the Shanghai area for about 4 or 5 days. And then the very last, we were in like 5 hotels in 2 weeks. So we were moving around a lot. The very last night, we spent one night in a hotel very close to the airport outside of Shanghai. And ironically, Shanghai Disneyland is right there, but we didn't go. So we didn't have enough time to pop in there. But yeah, so there you go.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's a lot of stuff coming out. And like I like you said it was boring, Sarah. It's like talk about boxes and logistics, but like the idea of having faster shipping on Kickstarters, I don't think that's a boring thing for our backers who are just like so excited to get their Ranger stuff. Like, so
it's true. Awesome. Yeah, we've put a lot of extra effort into the back end of it to make sure that everything's really clean and organized and really super easy when it gets to the actual fulfillment house. So they can just put a shipping label on the box and it goes out the door. And that'll be true for 90% of the orders because we pre-pack them out in China. And that just should make it so much smoother and faster. And we hope everybody gets everything and it's not damaged because they're all in just one box. So it should be great.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. No, it's definitely worthwhile. And we get to explore new technologies. Like there was no good way for them to demonstrate that new mold making process without actually going there and seeing the equipment and seeing what it could do and seeing some samples out of there. So right now that company is making a lot of high-end toys for Japan. That's what it's being used on first, like some really cool robot dudes from some IP that most people would probably know, but and it looked great.
That's pretty neat. You saw some other like meatballs and things that I did not ever think existed. Some just really cool different technology. And I think that's fun for us, but also fun for our fans because we can put those in games and it'll be something special you've never seen before.
Yeah, we go over there, find some cool ways to do cool stuff. Like a lot of times, Leisha and I like to go explore places too that make things outside of our industry and see how we can apply what those technologies and apply them to ours. Because they may not make little components for games, but the things that they're making are kind of the same thing in the same scale. So if we can do something that's different that you haven't seen before, then it's really cool. It's fun. So but you do eat a lot of Chinese food.
I was gonna say, how many days do you eat noodles and rice? Like, was that like every day? Is it an everyday thing?
No, so not a lot of noodles and rice. In the South, it's a lot of rice, and in the North, it's a lot of noodles. But we're spoiled, right? Like in the West, we can have different types of food every single day if we choose, or even you can make pasta one night, and you can make tacos and Mexican another night, and whatever. And it's not really the case there. It's pretty much just Chinese food, which is fine. I really like it. But you do realize how spoiled we are that we're used to more variety. I mean, the food's excellent. We went to some like really cool like dumpling places and stuff like that. But by the end of the week, you're kind of, or after 2 weeks, and I don't even like really eat meat. And I'm like, man, I would like a hamburger. So can't wait to get home and go to In-N-Out, or something like that. And then I don't go, and I come home and I eat carrots. So, but at the time you start craving things that you never thought you don't normally eat.
Oh, I can't imagine you craving hamburgers. That seems weird. Hey, you could just come to my house and we'll cure you of that. You'll never want to eat a hamburger again after you see what my husband makes for dinner.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's a real thing. Like last time we went, we were so, like we just needed some variety of food that I knew where there was a Cheesecake Factory that's actually, ironically, it's right outside of Disneyland. It's part of the Shanghai Disney Resort area. So we were coming back from one of our days at one of our factories, and the cab driver that was taken us, I like diverted him. I'm like, no, go that way. I kind of knew where it was. And he's like, no, this isn't the way to your hotel. I'm like, it's okay. I know where we're going. Just take us over there. And he just dropped us off outside of Disney. And like, we kind of walked in because it wasn't in the park. It was like their downtown Disney area. And we just went to a Cheesecake Factory just to have some like different food. And we ordered like all the stereotypical American food there. And it wasn't very good. But at the time, you know, you're like, you just want something different. So yeah, there you go. We're spoiled.
Yeah, it's generally true.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. So Teri.
Yeah, so Jeff says, I think they just call it food. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, they do.
Not Chinese food. Probably not.
No. No, they'll always ask you because they want to be not good hosts, and they will ask you if you want to eat Chinese or find Western food. But Western food's not very common. In like the big cities, you'll see fast food places, but like we don't want to eat at KFC. That's okay. So. Yeah,
KFC in other countries, they do a good job of localizing it usually, so it's not quite what you expect anyway.
No, they do. The KFC menu, like they'll have the chicken, but then they have all this other stuff that's true to the local community and even very regional within China. So like you'll see more noodle dishes in the north and more rice things in the south. Oh, I think we just lost Teri.
No, where did you go?
Teri's gone.
Oh, Teri, come back.
So enough about Chinese trips. But yeah, it was awesome. We had a good time.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast. Cool. Well, we are going to, hi Teri. We're going to a few
Teri's
other
back.
places.
She had a maple syrup break.
Nice. Cool. Well, we have a few other places where we are going to go hang out with fans. You just did your China trip. I just got back from PAX East. We're going to do the gathering, but then we're going to have a little Renegade get-together in Southern California. And then after that, we have the ACD Games Day that I'm going to, which I get to go hang out with retailers and teach them about all of these new games. And then we're also going to UK Games Expo for the first time. So anybody from the UK can go and see us there. And we'll have Lanterns Dice with us, which will be brand new and early. And then also Origins coming up. So we've got a lot of fun events where we can hang out with our fans, which will be neat.
It's lots of travel.
Yeah, that's true. So Teri, is that the end of our agenda? Did we miss anything?
Oh, Teri, you're on mute. We can't hear
you. Yay! I fixed it.
There she is. Oh, okay.
I fixed it.
She didn't want us to hear her guzzling maple syrup.
Yeah, it was all that Quebecois French that I sort of speak. It's gotta hide it, right? But yeah, it looks like we hit everything on our agenda except for Scott's time travel trip, but he already spilled the beans on Twitter. So if you haven't seen his little story on that, go check out his Twitter. Go his Twitter and look for it there. There's a really fun tidbit about time chase in there, and someone reading over his shoulder. So that's it. I think that's it. Thank you all so very much for joining us and hanging out with us and chatting about hockey and maple syrup and pro wrestling, I guess, and maybe a little bit of games. Maybe next time we'll get Scott to do some interpretive dancing. But who knows?
Sounds like Sarah's dog is eating somebody at this point.
Yeah,
you better feed that animal, Sarah.
Yeah, we'll let you all go. Thank you again for tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.